That is such a good question. Only 3 changes. If I had to select 3 out of the probably 22 changes I would love to see happen, I really believe we have to move away from cash bail and bond, and that actually is a stride towards equity for all income brackets. This is not simply something that's going to better or decriminalize Blackness in the US, but it's something that's going to give most poor people equal footing under the law. When I get a ticket, depending on what it costs, I just pay it. If I can afford it, I'm going to pay it. But in so many places around the country, if you can't afford to pay your ticket, you're going to go to jail. You're going to be in jail with people who have committed theft, with people who've committed assault, because you're poor. The only reason you're in jail is because you're poor. So decriminalizing poverty is one of the most crucial steps to decriminalizing Blackness. I think it's also important that we begin to change the way that we function with each other on the local political level. It's important that district attorneys, circuit attorneys, and mayor's offices and police chiefs have a different understanding of their relationships. It's important that police unions are held at a very high accountability, especially to the neighborhoods that they serve. Police unions around the country are formed according to race and sometimes according to legacy, like who your family is. And so it's crucial to me that we create and enforce laws that say to any law enforcement in our country, we want you to concentrate on serving and being like family to your community. Then, as that follows, training police is going to be really important as well. Not just cultural intelligence training, which is all important, but requiring de-escalation training for law enforcement, requiring implicit bias workshops for law enforcement, where even if for the next 5 or 10 years it seems like a joke, we still actually treat it seriously, and we still actually check in with officers who are experiencing implicit bias. It's a real thing. It doesn't mean that someone deserves to die. It doesn't mean that someone should be forced off of the police force, but it means that we need to input truth-telling as a general practice, not only for law enforcement, but for politicians as well. So to start by decriminalizing poverty, to move towards showing police unions, politicians, mayors, and local attorneys how they are to serve the people. And that often comes by a civilian oversight board that has teeth on it, a civilian oversight board with subpoena power. And then also to introduce into practice an understanding that implicit bias training and de-escalation training is all important, if not just as important as target practice, if not more important than practicing shooting. Police must practice empathy. And the other piece, because I'm just going to add 4, the other piece is that we must relieve police of being mental health professionals. We must have a deep impact on the manner in which police are expected to actually police situations where police are not needed. We must have a more robust system of community service. We must increase not only laws and governing, but we must increase the law of community that says we must know each other, we must serve each other, and we have to get to that place where we don't expect and end up forcing police to do the things that they're not trained to do. I believe that implicit bias training is one of the only ways to end police killings in our country. But I also believe that if a police officer doesn't feel called to or doesn't want to do mental health intervention, he or she should not have to. And that means that our cities around the country have to do a better job of having mental health professionals on site, on call, ready to cooperate with police and maybe even lead them in situations that are unfolding every day, all of the time. Situations are unfolding where we are forcing police to be paramedics and therapists and counselors. And that is one space where decriminalizing Blackness may actually mean bolstering and supporting Black people who want to care for their own community.